Hello and welcome. If you are watching this, chances are you or someone you care about is taking a statin medication. These are among the most prescribed medicines in the world, and for good reason. They are incredibly effective at lowering cholesterol and reducing the risk of heart attack and stroke. But with that widespread use comes a widespread and deeply personal question. It's a question that may arise as a new ache in your shoulders, a strange weakness in your thighs, or a persistent soreness that wasn't there before. And you are left to wonder, is my statin medication causing this? Is this feeling serious? And what on earth am I supposed to do about it? I understand that this uncertainty can be more than just a nuisance. To cut through that noise, we're going to turn to the clinical experience and research of one of the nation's leading cardiologists. Over the next 25 minutes, you will gain a clear, evidence-based framework for understanding what might be happening in your body. More than that, you will learn a precise plan for how to work with your doctor to find a solution that is right for you. But the answer to is it the statin is far more complex and, frankly, more fascinating than a simple yes or no. The journey to that answer begins with dismantling a very common and very powerful misconception. A common misconception is an assumption that feels perfectly logical. If I start a new medication and then I feel a new symptom, the medication must be the cause. It's simple cause and effect. According to leading cardiologists and landmark clinical trials, while this seems logical, it often isn't the full story. A powerful phenomenon is frequently at play, something researchers call the nocebo effect. The nocebo effect is the mirror image of the more famous placebo effect, where a placebo can make you feel better simply because you expect it to. A nocebo can make you feel worse simply because you expect it to. This is not about the pain being fake or imagined. It is about the very real power of negative expectation. If we are warned that a medication might cause muscle aches, our brain becomes hypervigilant. It starts monitoring our body more closely. And every normal, everyday ache or pain that we might have otherwise ignored is now flagged, amplified, and attributed to the pill. To understand the true power of this effect, we need to look at a brilliant study from the United Kingdom called the Samson Trial. The researchers did something remarkable. They recruited patients who had already quit taking statins because they found the side effects intolerable. These were people convinced that statins caused them significant pain. Over the course of a year, each participant was given a set of monthly pill bottles. Some bottles contained their statin medication. Some contained an identical-looking placebo, a sugar pill with no active ingredient. And some bottles were left empty, representing a no-treatment period. The participants did not know which bottle they were taking from each month, and they recorded their daily symptoms on a smartphone app. The results were stunning. As expected, people felt worse during the months they were taking tablets compared to the months they took nothing. But here is the crucial finding. The symptom scores were nearly identical during the statin months and the placebo months. In fact, the study concluded that 90% of the symptom burden that patients attributed to the statin was also elicited by the placebo pill. This wasn't a one-off finding. An even larger trial, known as Ascot LLA, found a similar pattern. During the first phase of the study, when over 10,000 patients were blinded, meaning they were unaware if they were taking a statin or a placebo, the rates of reported muscle complaints were the same in both groups. However, in the second, unblinded phase of the study, when patients knew they were being given a statin, the reports of muscle-related side effects in that group increased by 41%. These studies demonstrate a consistent pattern. The act of knowing you are taking a pill that you expect might cause harm can, in itself, generate the very symptoms you fear. Now, I want to pause here because hearing this can feel dismissive. It might sound like we are saying the pain is all in your head. Let me be absolutely clear, drawing from the perspective of every compassionate physician I know. The symptoms you are experiencing are 100% real. The pain is real. The weakness is real. The Samson trial doesn't question the reality of your experience. This knowledge is not meant to invalidate you. So with this understanding, how does a top cardiologist approach a patient who reports muscle pain? They don't dismiss it. They investigate it systematically. They use a structured, collaborative process to determine if a true pharmacological side effect is occurring and to find a tolerable solution for their patient. This process typically involves a few logical steps. The first is often what's called a brief, supervised statin vacation. Your doctor may suggest you stop taking the medication for a few weeks. This is a simple diagnostic step. If the muscle pain disappears completely during this break, it suggests a possible link to the medication. If the symptoms do resolve, the next step is often a re-challenge. Your doctor might ask you to restart the statin, often at a lower dose, to see if the symptoms return. This helps to confirm the connection and to identify a dose that your body can tolerate without side effects. If the original statin continues to cause problems even at a lower dose, the next step is not to give up, but to try a different statin. Now, this is where a cardiologist's deep knowledge comes into play. Not all statins are the same. They can be broadly grouped into two categories based on their chemical properties: lipophilic, which means fat-loving, and hydrophilic, or water-loving. Lipophilic statins, like atorvastatin, brand name Lipitor, and simvastatin, brand name Zocor, are fat-soluble. This property allows them to more easily pass through cell membranes and diffuse into various body tissues, including your muscles. Hydrophilic statins, on the other hand, like pravastatin, brand name Pravachol, and rosuvastatin, brand name Crestor, are water-soluble. They tend to be more liver-specific, meaning they are taken up by the liver to do their job, but are less likely to enter muscle cells in large amounts. A cardiologist might strategically switch you from a lipophilic statin to a hydrophilic one, theorizing that this may reduce the chance of muscle-related side effects. This is a nuanced adjustment based on the drug's specific properties, a clear example of using deep pharmacological knowledge to tailor treatment to the individual. Throughout this entire process, there is one common and very dangerous mistake to avoid: stopping your statin on your own, without consulting your doctor. The evidence is unequivocal. Multiple large-scale studies have shown that patients who stop taking their statin therapy have a significantly increased risk of suffering a heart attack or stroke. I recognize that the idea of retrying a medication that you believe caused you pain can be unsettling. It requires a leap of faith. But what I want you to remember is that this is not a random guess. Beyond medication management, there is another powerful pillar in a cardiologist's approach: building a more resilient body through lifestyle. A leading physician's advice isn't just about pills. This involves two key areas. First, diet. The focus is on a heart-healthy eating pattern, like the Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and fish. The key is to reduce saturated and trans fats while increasing your intake of soluble fiber from foods like oats, beans, and flaxseed. This fiber actually binds to cholesterol in your digestive system and helps remove it from your body. Second, exercise. The recommendation from the American Heart Association is for at least 150 minutes of moderate-intensity aerobic exercise each week. This could be brisk walking, swimming, or cycling. While exercise doesn't lower your bad LDL cholesterol directly, it can increase your good HDL cholesterol, which acts like a garbage truck, removing LDL from your arteries. Now, a common question that arises here is, what about coenzyme Q10? You've likely seen it in health food stores or online, often recommended for people taking statins. The theory behind it is quite plausible. A biological pathway in your liver that produces cholesterol, the very pathway that statins block, also produces a substance called coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10. CoQ10 is absolutely vital for energy production in our cells, especially in hard-working muscle cells. So the theory goes, by blocking this pathway, statins might deplete CoQ10, leading to muscle fatigue and pain. For years, researchers have studied this. Some small early studies did suggest that CoQ10 supplements might help reduce muscle pain. However, other, equally well-conducted studies found no benefit at all. The results were conflicting and confusing. When the evidence is mixed like this, experts turn to a powerful tool called a meta-analysis. This is a study of studies, where researchers pool all the data from all the high-quality trials to get a final, more definitive answer. Multiple recent meta-analyses have now been conducted on CoQ10 and statin muscle pain, and their conclusions are consistent. When all the data is combined, CoQ10 supplementation does not significantly improve statin-associated muscle pains or help people stay on their medication. Because of this strong evidence, major clinical guidelines, including those from the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology, do not recommend the routine use of CoQ10 for managing statin muscle symptoms. This brings us to a compassionate point about a common human tendency. Research has shown that paradoxically, some people's health habits actually get worse after they start a preventative medication like a statin. It's a common thought process. The pill is protecting me, so I can relax a bit on my diet or exercise. This is a very understandable thought, but it's a trap. Please remember that your medication is a powerful tool, but it works best as part of a team that includes your own daily choices. Let's take a strategic pause and synthesize what we've learned so far. We began with the confusing and worrying problem of muscle pain while on a statin. We dismantled the common misconception by understanding the very real power of the nocebo effect, which is driven by negative expectation. We then outlined two evidence-based strategies from a cardiologist's playbook. First, a systematic clinical approach of dose adjustment and switching statins to find the right fit for you. It's important to see how these are not separate ideas, but a system. Understanding the nocebo effect gives you the confidence to engage in the clinical management plan without fear. And building a resilient body through diet and exercise makes you less susceptible to both real pharmacological effects and the nocebo effect. One pillar supports the other. You have absorbed a tremendous amount of high-level medical information. Your commitment to understanding this complex topic is the first and most important step toward finding a solution. You should be proud of that effort. But what about those rare cases where the pain is undeniably caused by the statin itself? What is actually happening inside the muscle cell to cause that pain? The answer to this question is where the science gets truly fascinating, and it unlocks the final, most important principle for taking control of your health. We promised you a framework for understanding and a plan for action. We've built the foundation. Now, we're going to look at the deep science to reveal the one principle that ties it all together and transforms your relationship with your doctor. For the small percentage of people who experience true pharmacological muscle side effects, what doctors call statin-associated muscle symptoms, researchers have been working for years to understand the cause. While several theories exist, one of the most compelling based on work funded by organizations like the British Heart Foundation, points to a subtle disruption in how your muscle cells handle calcium. Let's explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your muscle cells contain thousands of tiny, secure vites that store calcium. For your muscle to work properly, your body sends a precise electrical signal that tells these vaults to open their doors in perfect coordination. Calcium is released, the muscle contracts powerfully and efficiently, and then the doors close again, securing the calcium until it's needed next. It's a beautifully regulated system. What some research suggests is that in certain susceptible individuals, statins can make the gatekeeper proteins on these vaults a little bit leaky. Instead of a coordinated release only when needed, there's a slow, irregular trickle of calcium leaking out when it shouldn't be. This unregulated leak puts stress on the muscle cell. It can trigger internal signals for cell damage and inflammation, and ultimately lead to the feelings of pain, tenderness, and weakness that characterize true statin myopathy. This is where the recommendation for moderate exercise becomes even more powerful. The very same research that identified this potential calcium leak also found something remarkable in animal models. When the animals on statins were allowed to exercise regularly, the gatekeeper proteins on their muscle cells appeared to be strengthened. The vaults became less leaky. This provides a clear biological reason why an active lifestyle can be directly protective against this specific mechanism of muscle injury. When you start a gentle, consistent exercise program, you're not just getting in shape in a general sense. You may be actively fortifying your muscle cells at a microscopic level. This helps manage expectations. The first thing you might notice isn't a dramatic change overnight. It might be a subtle decrease in that background soreness, or the ability to walk a little further without fatigue, or finding it easier to get up from the chair. These are the small, initial signs that your body is building resilience from the inside out, making it a less hospitable environment for side effects to take hold. We've explored the psychology of the nocebo effect, the practicalities of clinical management, and the deep biology of muscle cells. We have covered a lot of ground. Now, it is time to reveal the one unifying principle that makes all of these other strategies not just possible, but effective. The single most powerful tool you have in your health journey is not a different pill or a new diet. It is a concept that leading medical organizations like the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology now place at the absolute center of patient care. Shared decision-making. Shared decision-making is a radical shift in thinking. It moves you from being a passive recipient of instructions to an active, respected partner on your healthcare team. It is a structured conversation where your doctor brings their years of clinical expertise and you bring your lifetime of expertise about your own body, your values, your goals, your fears, and your personal experience. Think about how this one principle transforms everything we've discussed today. When you and your doctor are true partners, the nocebo effect begins to weaken, because the fear and uncertainty that fuel it are replaced by a shared plan and mutual trust. The clinical management strategy of trying different doses or different statins becomes a collaborative experiment you conduct together, not a series of commands you must follow. Lifestyle changes feel supported and achievable because they are part of a holistic plan that you helped co-create. And you can discuss the deep science, like calcium leaks and hydrophilic statins, and ask questions, feeling empowered by knowledge rather than intimidated by it. Adopting this one principle, the principle that you are an equal and essential partner in your own care, is the key to navigating not just this, but any health challenge you may face. It is the path from being a patient to being a person who is in control. It is the path to true empowerment. To make this principle a reality, here is your 4-step action plan to bring to your next doctor's appointment. Consider this your clinical roadmap to a better conversation. Step 1. Start with the why. Before discussing side effects, ask your doctor to review your personal 10-year and lifetime risk for a heart attack or stroke. Understanding the specific benefit you stand to gain from the medication is the foundation for any good decision. Step 2. Share your full story. Describe your symptoms in detail. What they feel like, when they started, what makes them better or worse. But don't stop there. Share your fears and concerns. Explain what you value most in your quality of life. Step 3. Co-create a management plan. Use the language we've discussed today. You can ask, "I've heard about a supervised statin vacation. Could we try that to see if my symptoms resolve?" Or, "I'm currently on a lipophilic statin. Would switching to a hydrophilic one be a reasonable option for me?" This shows you are an informed partner. Step 4. Ask for support. Discuss lifestyle changes and ask for concrete resources. This could be a referral to a nutritionist, advice on a safe exercise plan to begin, or information on local programs. Please, remember to be kind to yourself through this process. You are your own best advocate, but you are not alone. This journey is not about finding a perfect symptom-free state overnight. It is about gentle, consistent effort and open communication. You have the right to be heard, to ask questions, and to be a partner in your care. Thank you for investing this significant time and attention. Your commitment to your health is the most powerful medicine of all. We have built a community here of informed and empowered individuals. I would be honored if you would share your wisdom. In the comments below, please tell us, what is one thing you have learned, either from this video or your own experience, that has helped you feel more like a partner in your own healthcare? Your story could be the very thing someone else needs to hear today. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and be well. If you found this report valuable, please consider liking this video and sharing it with someone who might benefit. And subscribe for more in-depth health content designed to empower you on your wellness journey.